Hello and welcome to another Top 10 Tips from Natekla, Scotland. Today I'm delighted to have Ana Miranda with me from Aberdeen City Council, and she is going to be talking about handling dyslexia in the ESOL classroom. So, Anna, can you start with your first of the top 10 tips?
Okay, thank you, Nick. Well, I would like to start with the importance of creating a low anxiety environment. By the moment our learners join our classes, they might not know they are dyslexic, but they might be aware that reading and writing is difficult for them. And so sometimes there's frustration and shame, especially the first weeks. So it would be ideal to let them know that mistakes are normal, are part of the learning process. And also, as tutors, we can create a predictable routine. This helps them to reduce stress, to know what's expected in class, what they are supposed to do, and also to improve memory. So if you can maybe write the keywords of what your objectives of that class are and explain, go through them. And as you achieve them or complete them, tick them off or erase them so they'll know in which part of the class they are. And this also helps them visualize their steps through learning. As tip number 9, and is linked to the same uh, needs of this profile of learners, is to keep instructions short and clear. We usually teachers tend to speak a lot, and we forget that they are the ones who should be speaking, and that we should be quite sure that all the instructions are clear. So for someone who has dyslexia, processing all these verbal explanations might take a while. So use very clear and short sentences when you are starting a task and when you're explaining what to do. Um, and also double check if they have understood what they are supposed to do. Um, and also the written instructions must be as simple as possible. Uh, don't add any words that are not necessary to help them understand what they are supposed to do or the task is about. And as another way to link the needs of this profile is also important to give them extra time processing either the tasks, the instructions what they are supposed to do, and also give them 5 or 10 seconds to reply. We know there's a mental effort when we are learning another language. And for a dyslexic person, again, processing all this verbal information in a busy classroom when they have partners around, your classmates, your teacher talking, so it might be a bit overwhelming. So extra time for understanding, extra time for finishing the tasks, for practicing, for the test. For the test is quite important. Timing is something that only adds pressure. So if you have formal assessments, let them know that they have 30 minutes extra so they can relax and actually focus on what they are supposed to do while they work in class. Um, and it is important also to model. I think modeling is something we do usually as teachers, but if you have dyslexic learners, uh, give them the chance to see how things work. If you can model uh, the grammar structure with someone or the role play with another classmate, and ask if it is clear for them what they are supposed to do. This also helps them to feel more confident. And I know, and that is tip number 7, that we as teachers, we want them to use grammar properly, and we might feel that it is the most important thing in class. But I think we need to leverage on oral skills. For the dyslexic brain, grammar can be quite tricky. So think twice as a teacher. Do they really need to know all these grammar rules? Or is it enough if they can communicate effectively, if they are fluent, and maybe prioritize the key language with them, and let grammar not be, as the main target. And think of other ways to assess them or to help them practice. Maybe if it's not a written essay or paragraph, why not record a video of the same topic, or make an oral presentation, or even a drawing or a poster where they can show what they have learned and there are no words involved or needed. If you are working with reading, which is something they struggle, as we know, choral reading is suggested, the whole classroom, and not only focusing on only them, where we can see that they struggle with some words, or they add words, or it's not easy for them to follow the sentences. So oral reading is a good tip. And also paired reading, which it's an easy way to do it with your classmate. No one is specially listening to them, and they might feel more comfortable with a partner doing this. There are many examples online where you can see how it is done, and find the right guide for paired reading. Number 6, and I think this is very, very, very important. I would say one of the most important tips is use dyslexia-friendly fonts and formatting. If we analyze the material we use for auto learning, it is usually too busy, full of pictures. The fonts are very small. There's not enough place to write, space to write, and they can be very, really, really overwhelming. So adapt, and here I would say apply the KISS approach. Keep it super, super simple. They don't need all the frames. They don't need all the color. Find a dyslexia-friendly font. Usually Comic Sans is used, or there's another one that is called Open Dyslexia. You need to pay for it, but if you are a teacher, it might be worthy. You can also use colored overlays, or print not on white paper, but light blue or pastels, like as we're doing right now in our presentation. It's light green and light blue, and this helps with the contrast that might be quite hard on someone with dyslexia. There's also the rulers. There are also the reading rulers that help isolate the text, so they can follow actually the words where they are supposed to be reading, and they are not very expensive, and you can use them in the classroom with the other learners as well. I would also suggest, and this is something new, but check the availability in your library if there are dyslexia-friendly books, especially for someone who is learning another language, English in this case, might be quite helpful. They have this font that has the base like chunkier, and for someone struggling with reading, this helps them to follow again the words while reading and the right direction. And number 5, I would say to prioritize phonics and phonological awareness. We know English can be a bit tricky. We have lots of rules and sounds, long sounds, short sounds, voiced, etc. So be explicit when explaining to someone new that the way English works. And in this case, start from the very simple patterns and sounds and keep building to the complex ones. But also, color coding can be very helpful for someone who doesn't come from a Roman script as the one that we use in English. So if you want to color code the vowels or the last syllable that is the same in that word family, do that and help them analyze that it's the same word, it has the same sound, they belong to the same family, and this will make things easier to remember as well. All right, number 4. Use a multisensory approach. And by multisensory, I mean like we usually forget that we have other senses. And because we are adults, we think we don't need to play anymore, we don't need to touch anymore. And that's the opposite. A dyslexia indicator is an issue with working memory. This means the amount of information that can be held in mind while doing the tasks. So if we combine seeing things with hearing, with music, with gestures, it's not only writing on the board black and white. We can bring real life objects to the class. We can add the tiles that they can manipulate, and being active in class, move around the class, use sand to write, to practice spelling, or flowers, or these things that they can touch, even Play-Doh, which might think it's for children, but we adults also like to use these things and these materials as part of their learning, as part of the class, and everyone would have fun as well. Number 3, teach vocabulary explicitly and repeatedly. Sometimes we take for granted that if it's been taught once, they should remember the word and their meaning. But it is important, and it's something that we are always tempted as teachers to show the new words in the text, in the block of text and of words. And ideally, if we're working with dyslexic learners, first show the picture, and then how it is pronounced, and then move to the meaning of the word that it's related to the picture. And after that, you can move to the text itself. In this case, and if you are going to revisit the vocabulary, graphic organizers are a great tool for teachers. Also mind maps, where they can connect how is a word related to other words. And they can use colors as well, which is something which it is very helpful for visualizing. Or if you have the time in class, the card system, and where they write their own card for the vocabulary they will be working on. And at the back of the card, maybe a drawing or something that might help them remember the meaning or even the pronunciation of that word. And if you allow that in class, why not? Maybe the translation in one of the corner of the cards. And you can do lots of games with these cards, between them, dictation. They can also go trace on the cards with their fingers, which is another way of sensing, feeling them. And if you have time, also color coding for patterns, in this, with the cards themselves. So number 2 is build on the learner's first language. Their first language, it's not a barrier. Even though we don't speak their first language, this will give us lots of information about their learning journey. So it is worthy, to do some research about their background, their educational background, and in their countries, and also if it's a transparent or an opaque orthography. And by this, I mean transparent. It means a language that maps the sound to the written form. And that's transparent, like Italian, for example. The way it is written, it's the way it is pronounced, it is read. But an opaque orthography, like French or English, we write it in a way and we pronounce it in a different way. So for someone with dyslexia, opaque orthographies are very, very difficult to grasp and to understand. So if you know my student comes from this, speaks this language, and it comes from this orthography, then you will have more information and would be able to adapt the materials in a better way. And I would say that it's important to check the numbers, not only the letters, because dyslexic students tend to mirror numbers. Like, for example, 3 and 5, 6 and 9. So sometimes, even though we are not assessors in dyslexia, we kind of identify, oh, this is something that's not working properly. Is this because his script is in a different direction, okay, compared to English? Or it might be the case of dyslexia, or this is a he is or she are confusing the symbol, which means has a different meaning in their own language. So even telling the time, I realized that when I was working with Arabic students, that even the time is in the opposite way. And it took me a while to understand why things weren't working in my class. And then I realized that that was a problem. Not that everyone was dyslexic, but they would see things differently. So yeah, I think that's it for their first language. And make notes. And I'm almost finishing now, but it is worthy to make notes of the things that are working and the things that were not that successful in class, and analyze why he struggled so much with this. Try to check, are there any other ways I could do that to make things easier? Do I need to break it a little bit more to make it more accessible for my learner? And just to finish, talk to them, focus on their strengths, and ask them, why was this difficult? Why is this easy? And then you might realize they have different skills, and use those skills. They are quite creative. Dyslexic people usually see the big picture. They have great oral skills. So communication is key as tutors. And I know sometimes we think, oh, well, I've tried everything and things aren't working. I'm wasting my time here. But we need to let them know that we see their effort, and that you will find, maybe together, a way to help them learn. Celebrate the small victories. It doesn't matter how small they are, their progress. And keep it light, have fun with them, and just remember, we are both learning, the teacher and the student, in class. And that's how I would finish the presentation.
Great. Thank you so much, Anna. There's so many fantastic, useful tips there. And I know for me, for one, there are some there that I haven't thought about when I have had dyslexic learners. And it's something that I will definitely take on board in future. I particularly like the idea of just the processing time. They do need that the extra time there and being aware of that. So, well, thank you so much. And thanks for joining us today. You can find plenty more videos on our channel of top 10 tips. We hope to see you soon. Thanks very much, Anna. See you soon.
Thank you, Nick. Thank you. Bye.